Friday edition of the SA Morning. The withdrawal of consultancy firm McKinsey from working for Business for South Africa, we had that discussion yesterday, and government's ban on another consultancy firm, Bain and Company, has raised a lot of questions, and rightly so. Does South Africa handle corruption by the private sector in a manner that discourages any kind of repetition? Well, let's hear from Eskom whistleblower Bianca Goodson. Bianca, good morning. Good to have you on ENC. I appreciate your time in speaking to us. Let's answer that first question as well. Are the penalties enough for this to never happen again? I get the sense you're going to say no.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Personally, no, I don't think that state has been consistent in addressing these various management consulting companies. And I really do question if these consulting companies are actually paying reparations for the impact that they have on our fiscus. They get involved in quite seminal institutions, the likes of Eskom and Transnet and SARS, and they erode value. And just because some of them pay fees back, I don't know if that's good enough, because the value that they destroy in that process is quantums more than the fees that they pay back.
So where does the problem lie, though? Is it going to be companies that want to continue using the consultancy firms, or do we need to change the way that consultancy firms are framed within corporate structures? Where do we begin the problem? Because we won't have an issue with consultancy firms if companies don't use them in the first place, or is that too harsh a perspective?
Look, I mean, considering where we are with unemployment rates, I don't think it's wise to consider maybe eliminating an entire sector in the consulting frame. I mean, you're always going to need those skills. So I don't know that banishing consulting in that regard is, I think maybe that's taking sort of a blunt instrument for something that needs precision. And the precision that I would think would be applicable would be something along the lines of where there's actually an oversight body for consultants. So if you consider the medical profession or the legal profession, or even chartered accountants in the case of SAICA, right, you've got a body, an oversight body that actually ensures that when work is done within that field or within that sector, it's done within a certain minimum standards of ethical behavior, integrous behavior, and honest behavior. And then management consulting doesn't appear to have that kind of oversight body. They don't have anybody checking that they're doing the right thing or not. And that's a problem. And maybe that is one way where we actually can address those type of issues.
I suppose there could be an argument here as well. I almost want to say it's like the step-aside rule. Accused or charged? Do you avoid doing business with companies that are accused but have yet to be found guilty of any sort of financial malfeasance? Or do you wait for them to be charged and found guilty? Because if we start just not doing business with any company that's accused of any kind of corruption, you could almost destroy the sector without doing too much hard work.
Absolutely. But I do think, again, I don't think that that's a straight up answer. I don't think it's just black and white. I think it really comes down to the impact that the allegation may have or the difference that it has. So in the likes of Bain, for example, right, they haven't been charged yet, it's formally, so I don't know that they're appearing at high courts or anything like that at the moment. Obviously, there were allegations and it went through the Zondo Commission. But the thing is that the impact that it had, the impact that they had at SARS, that doesn't need to be proven. We could see that. We could see the degradation of that entity. Likewise with Eskom and Transnet. Yes, the criminal justice system must still play its course, and everyone deserves a fair trial and a fair hearing, and that must still take place. But I think our National Treasury need to get really specific, because our National Treasury manages taxpayers' money. And I just think that means that they've got to be way more prudent than as if it was any other kind of money. Our Treasury manages our fiscus so that there can be service delivery to the people of the country. And I think that it's incumbent on them that they can't just take any risk. They do have to practice a much higher level of prudency than any other sector. And I think that's why, if there are charges or if there's concern, rather stay on the side of caution. And there are plenty management consulting companies that don't have allegations, leveled against them. So it's not to say that you completely taking away the sector or the opportunity. You just I don't know, like giving other people an opportunity while you're waiting. That's all it is, right?
When it comes to the point at which a government institution should cut ties with an organization that's found to be either corrupt or is accused of corruption as well. There's a lot of work that goes in from these management consulting companies. They're obviously being used, Bianca, because government sectors, for example, don't have the resources, they don't have the skill set involved. If we were to start over-analyzing, and I suppose this is where the danger comes in, you want to start over-analyzing management consultancy firms, we actually will get even less done from government departments than we are now. I suppose that's the other side of the coin as well, isn't it? A last answer from you.
So I don't know. I think, again, it's not that clear cut. And the reason for that is because I think you always have to do a root cause analysis, right? So if our government institutions are becoming dependent on management consultings, I think that's a problem. I think that's a really big concern, because from an institutional knowledge perspective and a sustainability perspective, the institution itself should be ensuring that there's succession planning and ensuring that there's the right growth within the institution itself. Our state-owned entities cannot be beholden to management consultants all the time. We have to get our own skills in these institutions for us to become first-class power generators, railway operators, and so forth. So the root cause analysis here for me is really looking at the skills of people that we have within these institutions, maybe bringing in management consultants to bolster it slightly, but certainly not to have the management consultants effectively manage and operate your core business activities.
I suppose that's where, as you say, there's what's the phrase you used? You don't need a blunt instrument for something that needs to be a bit more precise. You can't just have it in a black and white form. And I appreciate your time, Bianca, giving us a lot to think about as well. Take the conversation forward. How, in all of what you just explained to us, Bianca, do you get into the minutiae management of consultancy firms with corporates and the management of management firms within government organizations as well? I appreciate Eskom whistleblower Bianca Goodson was also, as you would have seen, a CEO at Trillion Management Consulting. Tumzana.